going on, everyone? This is a Popcorn Heroes conversation recap, whatever you want to call it, about Insecure Season 1. We're going to be having an episode of each season leading up to the premiere of Insecure Season 5?
5.
In October 24?
24.
Yeah, there we go. I knew it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a extremely spoileristic conversation. This is not going to be hey, this was happening here and here and here. No, okay? We are just going to have a straight up conversation about Season 1, what we thought about it. We're going to hit major plot points. So don't expect this to be spoiler-free, anything. All right. Orlando, how did you feel going back to Season 1? It's been a very long time. We hadn't seen this shit, 15, 16, some shit like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's
been a while going back to the beginning.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I do watch Insecure every so often, but I play like select episodes that I really enjoy. So I don't really go back to Season 1 that much. Yeah, Season 1 is pretty... There's not a lot of fun in Season 1. A lot of shit's going down in Season 1. So, like, I wouldn't say it's a fun season to watch. But it sets up a lot of, like, you know, the storyline and threads of these characters. So I don't really go back to Season 1 too much. But it was interesting going back because you could just on a production level, just from like watching Season 1 and now with Season 4 and then 5 coming up soon, like the production got way better. Like it's probably like in Season 2, I believe the production like clearly picked up.
Yeah, so exactly.
So that was pretty interesting to see. Just like a visual thing. I feel like some of the acting as well was kind of like hit or miss at times.
At times it felt very new. So it's like people were just trying to catch their rhythm of their character. Even Daniel seemed off when we first saw him and shit like that. He didn't really catch his rhythm with his character yet either.
Yeah,
so it was interesting to see that.
Even like the first episode had like a self monologue thing, kind of like a Peter Parker thing. Where like, my name's Issa and I'm black and I work at this thing, but I'm like, yeah, this is weird. Yeah, I forgot that it did that because she never does that again after that first episode.
No.
So like it's a very interesting, like, so you could just see them like testing out like what works, what doesn't work. I think like a lot of like experimenting, like a lot. Like you could tell like they were still getting into the groove of things. But yeah, I think overall though, like it's interesting just to start over again, and just to like some of the plot points, like, you know, the major ones, but like just like the little details that you kind of forget, you know, like
yeah, exactly. So like one of the things I'm gonna mention here is the mirror thing that she did a lot, and now she kind of doesn't do it anymore, where she talks to herself in the mirror or she raps in the mirror, you know what I'm saying? Like something that she used to do like every episode she was doing that.
Right.
And then when you compare that to like the newest episode, she barely does that shit now, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's still there. So what's interesting is that it's still part of like her character, because I still see. I'm like on Season 4 now. Like I've got caught up. So she still does it. It's just like less. She doesn't do it that much, you know. And maybe it's one of those things where like
she doesn't.
It could be like one of those
maturity.
Maybe I don't know. It maybe, you know, it's a show, but maybe it's one of those things where like you turn tragedy into comedy. You know, like you're going through shits, you might as well laugh about it. But as the show's progressed, she has progressed as a character, and so like maybe it's more of like accepting of who she is. I don't know. I don't want to do a deep dive on the mirror thing, but like it does happen less. But yeah, it could be just them like, you know, cutting time with like this is cool, but like we know this is part of your character, but now we established that we don't need to focus on it so much.
Yeah. What I found interesting, I took a lot of, I mean, not a lot, but I took some notes when I was watching season throughout the season. Right now that I'm watching, I take little, like, oh, that's an interesting tidbit that you know that I noticed. One thing I noticed that the Indian restaurant popped up here for the first time in season 1.
Yeah,
If I'm not mistaken, it was episode 1 or episode 2, and you never really see that restaurant ever again until the friendship breakup on season 4.
Yeah.
And I found that to be super interesting because I'm like, when that happened, I'm just like what? How? Yeah, motherfuckers never go here. Like, what the fuck this shit came from, you know? And then, oh shit, like you see it in this season, like in season 1, like, oh shit, like this is like a season 1 thing that if you don't remember that, you're never gonna remember it after it.
It's like a super callback of like that. Yeah, like they have. You know, they're good friends. They have their outings. I mean, there was even one time where I think when she's about to move to Daniel's place, I think she's with Molly in her apartment, and they eat like Indian food.
So it's from this restaurant.
Maybe I think she makes it, like Molly makes it, and they even get dressed up and everything for it, like kind of wearing similar attire. I believe so. I feel like they like make so maybe it kind of it's a reference of like, hey, we love Indian food kind of reference maybe. So like it's still like that, and that's maybe that's what's interesting is like that plays a pivotal part. Obviously, that restaurant is like their favorite, one of their favorite restaurants. That you see it again, not that restaurant again, but you see like them enjoying Indian food again, and then it's like okay, the last one, which like the last time they have an altercation or they're about to like break up, it's there again. So like it's a little quick nod to like I guess super fans if you like you pay attention to them.
Yeah, exactly. Like things you won't notice unless you're actually paying attention to these things.
Yeah.
Or remember them to begin with.
Right.
Another funny tidbit I noticed is that Daniel and Lawrence are smaller, like in like muscular size. You know, Daniel's always been a muscular dude, but I feel like I think Lawrence became bigger in his glow up, which was what, season 3?
No,
and
I mean, Lawrence,
and Daniel.
Yeah, Lawrence became bigger during season 1. Like not as big, but you could tell he was like. I think the story he didn't get bigger, but he got season 2. I would say he got bigger.
I think in season 3 you don't see him for like the first half of the season, some shit like that, right?
Right.
And then he pops up, and then you're like, oh shit, like he is different now, you know? And I think that's the moment you realize that he had that glow up, you know? So it's funny when I'm seeing Daniel here, you know, he's a straight up bum. And, you know, that's kind of what kicks off the whole story, right? You're following into the life of, you're dropped into Issa's life, and, you know, she has this boyfriend who's a fucking deadbeat. You know, he's been unemployed for 2 years. He's depressed. He doesn't want to do anything.
Right.
And he is smaller. Like you see him, and he's smaller. Like you know, he looks a little bit muscular still, but you know he's small as fuck here. You know.
Right. I mean, they do a good job.
So it's just interesting to see that.
Yeah, they do a good job with like in terms of character development, even just the physicality of Lawrence, because his glow up is important to the story, more or less. So they do a good job of
important to the story.
Yeah, so they do a good job as you know, having him look kind of like rough, you know, not shaved, his hair's not really growing out, he doesn't get a haircut. And it's only until like, you know, Issa threatens him with like the breakup where he kind of like gets a little bit more cleaned up. He gets a bit more cleaned up.
Yeah, he starts getting a job. He starts doing
nicer.
some shit for himself.
Looks a bit nicer, and then towards the end of the season, you have that like that. Lawrence has a look. Like Lawrence has like I have a similar Lawrence haircut right now. Just like Lawrence has like a look, and it's like very like, you know, fade, you know, top, and like nice shirts. And so you see that look towards the end when he gets the job, and then that right there also when the news is about to break that like she slept with Daniel. So like I think at that point you see like his look, maybe not muscular yet, but he did look a little bit more like, well, clothes can make a difference, but he does look a little bit more presentable, especially towards the end of the season. and I think he maintains that same look. After once he gets that look, he maintains it pretty much throughout the whole series. But then his physicality changes, and they show that with like little bits of him working out, of like, oh, he's getting his shit together. They have the one later on in the season where I think the second season, he's in like a marathon. So yeah, so they showed that his
I'm on that episode right now. That's where I'm at right now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Lawrence episode. It's like 30 days with Lawrence.
Yeah, and that's what you and that's a good thing that they say that, because that's where you see like his progression in 30 days. You know, like him working out more, him taking care of his health, him trying to figure out like how he can like move up in his job. You know. So I definitely agree with you. I feel like and Daniel as well, so Daniel as well, you could definitely see a progression, I guess, of like his physique, whatever. But in terms of who he is as a character, I don't think he really changes much. We don't really get that much time with him anyway. He's a producer and stays in his producing role, like, so you don't really get to see much of him.
He's just a guy who keeps giving Issa chances, essentially.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with Daniel, especially like his approach.
Nice guy Daniel, dude.
I don't think he's a nice guy, but I definitely don't think like
I mean, he's been there for Issa through all her shit though. You can't say he's not nice. He's always been there for her whenever she needed him.
Yeah, but I think for the most part it's like he's cool with it if he knows it's gonna lead to something. Like, he's not cool with it if it leads to nothing. And you saw saw that several times, like, like while they were talking, and she would like either like suggest that she wants to move out or suggest that like she's not down. He's either throws a slick comment to her or like makes some slight remark. So like, he's cool, yeah, sure, but like. Mm-hmm. He's only cool with it because he has like a motive in a way.
Yeah. I get what you're saying for sure.
But that's
like interested.
But that's more like season 2 talk. But
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so
yeah, but I'm here. I'm thinking about, man. I need to get in this Lawrence workout plan, bro. I need to get that glow up in next season.
But I think it's that glow up that he has. I think I've seen a few men or women have that kind of glow up. Like, they're in a relationship for a long time, they get stagnant. They get kind of like used to like the routine of just having their partner, and then when their partner's gone, they're just like, oh snap! Like, let me take care of myself. Let me be more presentable. Let me like do more things like that I want to do, or just like be a better me. Especially when you have that kind of situation where you get cheated on. I never had a situation that happened to me, but I could assume it's kind of like, damn, like, was it me? Did something wrong? That kind of mindset. So you're just like, oh, well, she cheated on that Lawrence, but she won't cheat on this Lawrence. Like, nobody would cheat on this Lawrence. And I think that's what, like, kind of drives him. So I think that's where that mentality comes in. Like, oh, okay, like, you cheated on a broke ass nigga, you're not gonna cheat on me. Like, I got my shit together, kind of thing,
Yeah, exactly. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I also found interesting that in also the season we had the broken pussy rap, which was I completely have forgotten about that.
Yeah.
When she goes into the club and there's open mic night, she meets up with that's where she first finds Daniel. And then there's that broken pussy rap, which I had completely forgotten about it. It's a very funny rap that she did there.
Yeah, I remember.
And it never gets mentioned again, too.
Yeah, it probably doesn't get mentioned because, this is like another good example of like Molly and Issa's like relationship of like always being always having friction. Like, they really can't like communicate properly with each other. And like Molly taking it like to heart, and it's just like, it's not really about you, like, like, it's one of those things that probably doesn't get mentioned again, maybe because like Molly has like a sour taste, about it.
Yeah, I mean, in season 1, it gets mentioned again later on because kids of We Got Y'all
they
end up finding it.
Right.
And then Lawrence ends up wiping it out of the internet with a friend, help of his friend. And it's funny because all this happens. I don't remember if it's before or after she cheated on him. I think it was after she cheated on him, right?
Yeah. This is the rapping happened before.
Before, but Lawrence fixing it was after she cheated on him, right? I think the same night or some shit like that.
No, I think Lawrence finding it. I think it's before that too.
Oh, like Lawrence helping her clean that out was after that or before?
It's before that. It's before that.
So yeah, it's one of those things where like small things that from season 1, you know, that you don't remember until you start watching it again. Like I had completely forgotten about all that. And just thinking about like the relationship of where the relationship was in that time period also, where they both were just on the way out essentially at this point, you know. Right. What do you think about how Lawrence felt during that period where he was actually, you know, trying to get better and she was just kind of done with it all?
Yeah, I mean, it happens, you know, like you know, I was told once that and I think it's true that like when a breakup happens, like it's already happened essentially. It just takes like the two people to realize that it's happened. And sometimes one person checks out before the other person, you know, and in this case, like Issa checked out before Lawrence did, you know. But
it feels like the cheating kind of snapped her back into it, huh?
Yeah, I mean it was through guilt, you know. She just felt like, okay, like I think eventually, I think if the cheating didn't even happen, I think that they would still have a rough patch. You know, who knows if they would have been together, but I think that they would have still had like some things to go, like some hurdles to get through.
Yeah.
You know, especially you see that. Not to jump ahead, I know this is like a season 1 recap, but obviously what Condola asks Lawrence is kind of like on season 4. Condola asks Lawrence like if she never cheated, would y'all be together? And Lawrence just makes a face kind of like he's like doesn't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, and so obviously that just spins the wheels to what we know already by today. Like they end up getting back together, but yeah, no, I think his glow up was a bit too late, and I feel like regardless of the cheating, they would have had to gone through some shit. Like it wasn't him fixing himself isn't the end of it, and they would have had to gone through some shit like in that like time period. Obviously the story doesn't go that route, but just because like not Molly, Issa's not a good communicator.
No.
At least in this season, she's not really good at communicating how she feels with Lawrence. She's not good at communicating like her wants and her needs with Lawrence. She's like very scared of being combative with him. So she kind of like she stays at Molly's house for a few days. Lawrence sees her at the right age. She's buying like panties, and he's like, "Yo, what the fuck?" So like
you gone for like a whole weekend and I still don't see you.
Yeah, and Lawrence is just kind of like scratching his head like, what the fuck? And he's trying to figure out what he can do to make things right, and he's trying to like do the most and try to figure out like all this stuff, but like that doesn't really get to the root of like y'all issues, doesn't really get to the root of like your problems. So
you're saying like the problem got glossed over essentially.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Like so I just think that like it would have like she felt guilty for what happened, so she was trying to like be better at like being present more and trying to be a better girlfriend, but they would have still gone through some shit. So I don't know if they would have fixed it, but who knows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's a funny joke that somebody I forgot who said it. I don't know if it was her brother or some other guy. But it says, I wrote here, every black girl that went to college likes Drake. And that shit was hilarious. Oh yeah, like, that's such a good joke. It's probably true.
That's probably the episode where Molly and Jared are at a party and they're talking about college. So that's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So it's interesting because the show tackles like a lot of different like subject matters, very small, like very like in a very short period of time. Like
yeah, exactly.
Obviously, like Molly's group of friends are super college educated. You know, like even though they're not like super successful, you know, we don't really, you know, Tiffany, we know she's successful, and Derek as well, and Kelly, we know she has her job. Obviously, Molly's the only one struggling. I mean, Issa's the only one that's struggling in terms of career wise. At least from what the show shows us. But
yeah, I just thought that was pretty funny how the that joke just came out of because I think they were just trying to find someone to play the song or something like that, or somebody was playing it, and I just thought it was very funny how out of like the idea of just like every black girl who went to college loves Drake, and I'm just like, I think that's true, because if you think about everybody who like the majority of the black people I know have gone to college, and they all do love Drake. So I just thought that idea was just like, you know, damn, like I know that's a fucking true fact right now.
Yeah,
it might be a joke, but it's a fucking the most honest joke out there. So I just thought that joke was so funny. I had to write it down because I was cracking up as soon as I heard it.
Yeah, and it's funny because like it leads into that conversation, even with like she was dating Jared for a little bit, and then it just goes to show that Molly just has like, she's always had problems with men. Like it was just kind of like guys have to meet Molly where Molly's at, and never the other way around.
I got a lot of things here from Molly too, which let's tackle Molly right here. Thing that I found very interesting, I think it's like season 2 or 3. I mean episode 2 or 3. Molly speaking Spanish at a taco stand, at a taco truck. And in season 2, you end up finding out how she knows Spanish. It's because when she was growing up, she went to a lot of drogos. Or what was his name?
Joe's house.
That guy she was having sex with that was married. What was his name? Joe's house.
Right.
And his dad was Spanish, or his family was Spanish, some shit like that. So she most likely learned Spanish there at his house. But what I find interesting is, remember that in season 4 she goes to Mexico with the Asian guy she was dating.
Right.
And she never spoke Spanish at all there. And I'm just like, this is the moment you should be speaking Spanish, and you were not speaking Spanish.
I mean, I guess for like someone,
I don't know if the show forgot that she spoke that.
It could be one of those like little side plots that the writers forgot that they do in there as a character piece. But also like when you're, I don't know, like for example, like I speak Spanish, you know, because I'm Cuban or whatever. But like sometimes I get uncomfortable speaking Spanish when like I know I'm not gonna be understood properly, you know, because my Spanish isn't so great. So I get like nervous, so I'm like, I'm not gonna like. I'll literally go to like a restaurant and order in English, you know, or like I used to go to like Latin American Grill like every Sunday, and I would order in English just because like I don't even want the like conversation of like how do you know Spanish, you know, like you just want your thing, your meal, whatever, and then you want to just be left alone, kind of deal, you know.
Yeah.
So. Because I know that's always, like, if I'm somewhere, like, that's predominantly Spanish, I have to, like, explain why I know Spanish sometimes. And that's annoying. Because they don't know, like, you know, and it's annoying because all these Spanish people comes in all, like, we can be vastly different. Like, you can look Asian, like, you look black. But, like, sometimes I have to literally explain myself to other people. Especially because my Spanish doesn't sound, like, fluent. So it sounds like I'm an American person who learned Spanish, you know? So that's a very annoying conversation to have. Like, like I'm just as someone who's Cuban and speaks Spanish, it's just very annoying to have. So I get it, especially like when you're on vacation, like you don't want the like, oh, how'd you learn Spanish? You're like, oh fuck, like just give me my food, like give me my like my towel, so I can get out of here,
Yeah.
So I get it, like I understand not wanting to speak it, to avoid like those kind of like conversations, especially when you're like in an all-inclusive resort and that's very like thing that's probably tailored to like Americans and tourists, so they should but most likely they do speak English.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely, but I think it would have been cool to see her bring that back, because she's did that season 1, did it in season 2.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I think it would have been cool, like even for her in that moment in time, she could have diffused that that conversation there in that moment. I think that would have been cool. Just to see her again speak Spanish, and okay, she knows it. So
yeah,
I think that would have been cool to see. I also found interesting here the show Conjugal Visit. It was the TV show that's happening in that universe. Every season or so often there's a new show that pops up.
Right.
And Conjugal Visit was the one from season 1 where they're the inmates. I think they were just what is it? The inmates who have sex with people. People come visit them or something like that. I don't know if you noticed that background TV show that was happening in season 1.
I didn't notice it that much. I guess because it wasn't it wasn't that prominent as the other. Cause I think season 2 had like the.
It's Due North.
Due North, yeah, and then season 4 I think has like Looking for LaToya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but yeah, that one was funny to see that one.
Okay.
Conjugal Visits. It didn't pop up that much. It only popped maybe like 3 times. But it was just funny to see that there. I also enjoyed the blood guy that lives in her apartment building who doesn't say C words.
Yeah, exactly.
He was like, we don't use C words. This is a blood house. That shit was so funny.
He pops up a few times. I think he's a writer for the show because I know like he was on Awkward Black Girl, which is Issa Rae's like web series that she did before Insecure. So he's probably like a writer on the show that they just use to like every so often. He comes out again in season 4.
Yeah, he's so funny, dude. That he never uses the C word. And any C word, he always puts a B in it.
Yeah, he's a pretty good character.
That was a funny thing that kept coming back here. His character, and just when you pay attention, you actually notice that you notice that he never says anything with a C. So it's just funny to always keep your ear out and be like, oh, he's saying bull instead of cool,
Right.
It's so funny, dude.
One of the things that I noticed in the show that I guess I didn't notice like until obviously I knew about it, but I just didn't it didn't catch my attention until we watching the show. Is like Molly and Issa are not friends towards the end of the 4th season, and
it's the same day that her and Lawrence break up. She breaks up with Molly at the party, and then once they get home, Lawrence breaks up with her.
Right. Yeah. And so like it's interesting because you could tell that they always have friction. Like they don't know how to communicate with each other, and they don't know how to like be critical. Like they're very critical of each other. Like they're very critical of like what each other do and who they are. So like, it's interesting because everyone can say what they want to Molly except Issa. So like, Tiffany and Kelly will say like the same thing that Issa be saying, but when Issa chimes in, it's just like, how dare you say that shit to me? Or it's like Kelly and Tiffany give like, Molly, you ain't shit, and Issa give like, yeah, you ain't shit, and then Molly's like, fuck you, Issa. Like it's always like, it's a weird, and it goes both ways, but it's just very interesting that they just I think what it is as well is like their friendship has been, they've been friends for such a long time that like it's like a loved one saying cruel things even though like they're like joking around, you know, like
yeah.
So like I feel like it hurts more for them to take each other's criticism. It's funny because somebody asked me the other day, 'cause I was talking about that I'm watching the show, and then she was asking like, oh, do you guys ever like, do guys ever have like that kind of like, do you have that kind of like, you know, breakup with your friends, like, you know, or like that kind of relationship where you guys are always bickering or fighting? And I go, no, I think the show does a good job of like how men speak to each other. Like when Lawrence is with his boys, and they're very critical of him too, in a way, like not as much, but they'll call him out on his bullshit, you know, or they'll call him like, you know, like they'll tell him like he's being like a hoe or whatever or some shit,
yeah,
or a bum, but they do it in a way that's it's jokingly, but they're serious. And you know, Lawrence never really takes it to heart. It's just like, all right, whatever, like cool.
Yeah, the guy who does that a lot was his real estate friend, where he started crashing at.
Yeah.
He did that a lot to him when he was living with him, and when they were on the phone.
He broke his balls all the time.
You're a fucking bum, bro.
Yeah, he broke his balls all the time. But I think I think it just kind of shows like a different way that kind of maybe like how men to speak to each other or like stuff like that. Because like, you know, as friends, as guys, you know, we've been critical of each other, but it's never like a sit down conversation. It's never like a, hey, let's talk about this and let's go in depth of how we feel about each other and stuff like that. And you know, men don't really have that kind of like those kind of moments, you know, especially like when they talk about each other and their like friendship. You know, like if you think about it, me, you, and Paige have been friends for 15 years, and there's not many times that we talk about our dynamic to each other. No, like we might talk about like what we're going through personally in our lives and vent that way, like, you know, like people do. But it's never like talking about each other or like how, you know, how Molly and Issa talk. They're like, hey girl, you ain't shit, and you know, you always, you know, blah blah blah, and it's always a back and forth thing with them. And we don't really do that. I think.
Because I mean, there's no point of judging each other. You know what I'm saying? It's like we all have our shit that we've done and gone through. That, you know, I feel like how can I say it's we have a friendship to be called out when we're fucking up, but not to be judged. You know, like, hey, like this is my experience of what I'm going through, and I'm sharing it with you or whatever, or you see me going through it. Like I wouldn't want you to judge me for what I'm going through, but if I'm fucking up, call me out, you know. Right. And I think that's part of the problem there. It's just like they feel that they're being judged by the friend, like, and I think that's the different dynamic of that is happening there. Is that whenever they're saying something, they feel like, you're judging me because I'm doing this, you know, right. like, and that's why they're not that good at communicating with each other, because every time they try to say something to each other, they're like, oh, what are you doing that? That's stupid. What the fuck? Like, you doing that shit again? You know, it's kind of like type of thing. So it's kind of like, oh, like, fuck, I can't really fully express myself with you because I feel like in the end, I'm going to get judged because of what I'm doing or what I'm not doing, you know?
Right. I mean,
and I think that creates a different conflict and a different
I mean, I wouldn't know since
friction.
Because I don't have that kind of, I don't think I have that kind of relationship with anybody that like they'll talk to me and then I say something and then they're like, oh, well, that's not the right move, or like that's dumb or whatever. I think the closest person to that is you at times, but you don't do it that often where like we're not friends anymore. You mostly do the hindsight 2020 conversation that you always do. Which is pretty annoying. But it's not like every decision I make or anything I do. So I'm wondering if that's just because the person I was talking to was like was a woman. So she was saying like she's had that kind of like conversation with friends and like had that kind of bond. So I'm wondering if it's like, maybe like women are just more capable of being more open of like how they feel with each other. I mean, I have guy friends who I don't even get, who I don't maybe talk to as much anymore, or maybe I don't really vibe with, but I've never had to like break up with them. I just stopped talking to them, like, cause it's something that guys don't really do. Like, I don't think it's something that guys really like have to say, like, sit down, like, hey man, guess what? I don't fuck with you no more. I don't think we do that really.
No.
And it's interesting because like I was listening to something, not to get to a weird sidetrack, but I was listening to a podcast about like ghosting friends. And it was saying that like instead of ghosting your friend, you should have a conversation to set up a new relationship, like as a friend. Like if you want less time of them, if you don't want them in certain like spaces, it's better and more beneficial to the friendship and maybe to you to set up like, hey, you're cool, but I can't fuck with you in these like scenarios. So if you want to, I'll fuck with you in this way. And then that way, like, it still maintains the friendship, maintains the openness, and then it changes the parameters of what that friendship is. And I think that's a good way of communicating things. Maybe Molly and Issa need to do that, like redefine what it is to be like each other's friends. Because throughout the show, what they do instead is they kind of go to each other for support. And neither of them know how to effectively communicate with each other. So then they get upset, kind of like, damn, I came out here to tell you my shit, and then every time, like you say, every time I tell you my shit, you throw it back at me. So what's the point? If they could redefine their friendship, kind of like, okay, look, I'm gonna tell you my stuff, or I'm gonna tell you what I want to tell you, like maybe keep things secret because you're just too critical of me. You have to be okay with that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like if we're hanging out and we're gonna eat brunch, we're gonna talk about basic shit, and I can't talk to you about my relationship, or I can't talk to you about my family stuff because you're just, until we can get to a place where we're not so critical of each other, let's not do that. Because I think I can say that for a fact that us, as guys, we do that pretty fucking well. Like, yeah, how are you? I'm straight, and then that's it. Even if you're not straight, you just say I'm good, and then you talk about something entirely different.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe they need to do something like that where it's surface level.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and later on, you kind of end up seeing them become that surface level friends, and then just essentially not become friends, not be friends at all.
Right, but they get upset. They're upset with that surface level friendship. And that's the thing, because they didn't really establish that friendship. It just happened over time, and they're upset about it. So if you can maybe just talk about it and maybe, but I don't think the show's gonna go that route. I think at the end of like the series, they're gonna be friends, like good friends again.
Yeah.
But they do definitely need to.
I also feel it's gonna be a time jump at some point.
Right. Oh, I thought for sure. But I feel like they do need to communicate that as well.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to talk to you about just in Molly's thing, a lot of topics came about through Molly. Like just like things like side notes where like Molly definitely is like a serial dater who keeps looking for like this kind of person that she can't meet with, like, and
it's an expectation that she has that no one can ever reach.
Right, exactly.
And no one will, honestly.
Exactly, yeah. So she has that. The conversation of therapy comes up. She meets one of her old friends, and her old friend brings up therapy.
That's a bullet point I have here, that she finally, in season 1, she gets the idea of going to therapy.
Yeah.
Because of that friend that she meets up with.
Yeah, and that's interesting, because like that's something that we don't really see in like minority groups. As someone who is in mental health, quote unquote, as a behavior therapist, and who has someone who has done therapy, like clinical, like mental health therapy, it's definitely something that like it's getting more popular now, and it's awesome that that's happening. But like 4 years ago, when the show was popping off, that still wasn't a thing that like was discussed really, So I think it's cool. I think it's cool that, but it's interesting because I feel like as the show progresses, like in later seasons, she does get therapy, but like I don't see the benefits of therapy in terms of Molly as a character.
You know why? It's because that she doesn't go into it thinking of, hey, I'm gonna go here to help myself. It's more like, oh, I'm gonna give this a try and see what happens. Like, she's not committed to the therapy, right? Because when she's in it, she's still holding things back. She's not fully expressing herself.
Right.
She feels like the therapist is judging her and all this shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
and it's
in season 2, you see that, you know?
Yeah, so I think it's one of those things where like it's awesome in season 1 that they bring it up. And let's see in the last season if they kind of do one of those things where like, hey, you have to take this seriously. Because I was in therapy and my therapist would give me homework, quote unquote, and I would do it sometime and sometimes I wouldn't do it. To me, therapy was a way to like get out what I need to say without burdening anybody else like in my circle, you know? So I found it pretty effective. But for Molly's case, yeah, like it's interesting now in season 1, because we're still in season 1, that she's taking in those steps.
Yeah, she's thinking about it at least.
Yeah, for sure. And
go ahead.
No, what else did you have that you have written down for?
Oh, the other bullet point I have here about Molly is that she was dating that guy who she dropped him because of his sexual experience he had.
Yeah.
So this guy's interesting because he's completely not the type of guy that Molly would have dated, right? He didn't go to college. He has a regular job at like an enterprise, you know, the rental company. He's not quote unquote successful as, you know, Molly's sees things. But she did enjoy hanging out with him. She did enjoy spending time with him. But they were having a day of just, hey, let's spill the secrets of our lives, you know, like, hey, there's deep dark secrets we've had. And during that exchange, he tells her that, like, oh, there's one time I got wasted with one of my boys and he went down on me and I fucking hated it and I never did it again after that.
Right.
And like she took that really personally.
Right.
And she's kind of like, you know, fuck this guy essentially. Which is very interesting because that's something that I don't think guys would really share those things, right? Like, hey, I had this one sexual experience with a guy one time, you know. I don't think that's something that guys share with their partners. But he felt comfortable enough to share that with her.
Right.
Because thinking like, hey, you know, sexual experiences are kind of, everyone has that. So I'm going to be open with you about this. And it kind of backfired on him.
Yeah, I agree. Especially I think even now, 2021, where everyone wants to be more progressive and more inclusive and shit like that. Like I think for the most part, in general, I don't think that people are even, like, they want to be inclusive, but like inclusive, like in like, I think even now, like in like, let's say in terms of dating, like they want to be inclusive, but inclusive in the terms of like, yeah, you can do your own shit, but like I don't want to be like part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
like, oh yeah, you know, like no. You know, gay pride is a thing and stuff like that, but like I think it's kind of like the like bisexual men, they're not really considered bisexual; they're just considered gay. Like it's straight up like,
yeah.
So
absolutely,
and like I think even now in terms of dating, like you want to seem supportive, but I feel like, and I'm not gonna paint with a broad brush, but I feel like in general, it's still not like. You support it, but at a distance, like, but you don't want to have like that kind of like experience of dating someone who is like bi. You might support it, but you just don't want that experience for yourself. And I think the show still channels that pretty well.
Yeah, I think women are mostly like that though. I think women are like, oh, you've had a sexual experience with a guy, oh, you're fucking gay, and I don't want to deal with that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like
they see them less than.
Yeah, I can't speak for all women, so I'm not going to. But like, as someone who has dated people before and has someone who like maybe can see more of a feminine side, I've been categorized as bi or whatever, but never have done anything, nor do I'm into it. But it's something that I've noticed that like, oh, like that's a point of like friction of like, oh shit, like if I was, you wouldn't be down for it or whatever. So like
or if you had it before, they would have been down for
exactly.
You're seen less manly because of it.
Exactly. Oh, for sure. So I can only speak about like my experience with that in terms of like having those conversations with people, especially now that I'm like dating around. I could definitely see that conversation of like sexuality being like still taboo. Like it's one of those things where you support, but you support at a distance, and it's weird because like I like as a guy, I don't give a shit if you're bisexual. As a woman, if you're a bisexual woman, I don't really care. But I mean that's only me though. I don't know about anybody else, and I get it. I understand the idea of like, oh well, now there's anybody can be like a potential partner if you're bisexual, but then that's just the stereotype that you think that people who are bi want to fuck everything, which is not true, or people who are pansexual want to fuck everything, which is not true. So like it just goes against the more you just like stigmatize them more, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean,
I find that interesting.
Yeah, I think the show does a good job of like bringing it up, because it happens in the community. So, but yeah, it's just what it is, and I still think it's still relevant today, even though it's been like 4 or 5 years since that episode like premiered.
Yeah, it is very relevant. Yeah, because I mean, in the end, like the girls I've talked to, they're like, they wouldn't want to date a guy who's had a gay experience in his life. They're like, they see it as less of
right,
you know, or something they don't want to be part of. And I'm just like,
right.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Guys don't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly. And those same girls maybe have gay guys as friends, or they, you know, enjoy like. So it's just like it, and I get it. To each their own. We all have preferences. But it's still something that like we're not yet fully able to accept in society, which is, you know, to each their own. Like it's not a. It's a big deal to you. It's a big deal to you in your circle. So it's like what it is. What it is.
Exactly. Yeah. And last bit here with Molly, I have a point here. It's at that party where I forget what party it was. Oh, for the kids, the We Got Y'all kids.
Yeah.
This is where Molly ends up breaking up with Issa and Lawrence after this party. He ends up breaking up with Molly.
Right.
I mean with Issa.
Yeah.
During this party, the Asian teacher that Issa was helping out with, he hits on Molly.
Right.
And asks her if she wants to drink or they wanted to hang out or some shit like that. And
right.
She's like, oh, I don't fuck with y'all, like some shit like that, you know?
Yeah.
She said no, but in the end, the wrap up was like, oh, I don't fuck with guys like that, you know? Which I think she was inclining of Asian guys. Like, I don't fuck with Asian guys.
Right.
So it's funny bringing it full circle that now she ended up dating an Asian guy.
Right.
So, you know, the full circle of that thing, I found that very interesting.
I mean, it could be the same thing, you know. Molly has problems in the dating world, and she goes from, you know, guy to guy trying to figure out what's up. And so it's one of those things where she wasn't really giving Andrew the time of day, but Andrew was pretty persistent, you know? So
yeah, she wanted a specific thing that no one could give her,
right.
Honestly.
You're right. And you know, Andrew kept trying, and I think that's the difference, you know. And also, like, the Asian teacher that was shown, we don't really know like much about him in general, but we could tell like that's not really Molly's type. Like, very button up, very. It just seemed like he was very like
he was a nice guy.
Like, not that he was a nice guy, but it was just kind of like from what we know of him, like the 20 seconds, his approach wasn't something that Molly really like gravitated towards. You know, we could just see that off the back of how she reacted. But Andrew was very persistent. He had a different way. He has more of a swagger to him. So like, it just maybe that it could be a combination of both things of like, well, dating in general is not going right for me, but also like you keep approaching me, so why not? You know?
Yeah. Exactly, but you know, he was more hood too, so it's
right.
Completely different type of guy that we see there. You know, she's probably inclined towards that because every guy that kind of was buttoned up, she did not date at all. You know, I'll bring that back next podcast and season 2 podcast when we talk about that. But last few things I would like to talk about here. The breakup scene when Issa and Lawrence break up, that was a very powerful scene. It was I liked how it was, there was no music behind it. It was very much about the conversation, the relationship, the interaction. It was very surreal, very powerful. I keep saying, because it was just very raw. That scene was very raw.
Yeah,
and I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, it's funny because not funny, but it's interesting because it was when the acting, I felt like, took a turning point of like started getting a bit better. And you see like Lawrence already kind of had his doubt, his suspicion that something was going on, and then seeing like the confrontation between Daniel and Issa at the party kind of like solidified it. Like, oh, okay, something's going on here with them or whatever. Especially since Issa was gone for 3 days. You know what I'm saying? Like, they never had that conversation of where she was at. So so there's that as well. And I think for the most part, like, it just shows that like in that moment, it could, like, in that moment right there where we know that Lawrence wasn't gonna do anything like hit her or anything, right? But I was watching a video breakdown of like therapists talk about like that confrontation, and like most of the time when you have those confrontations that are like very like anger is flowing through you, the best thing to do is to get out of the situation, like, is to like leave.
Yeah, just walk away.
Just cool down. Like, there's really isn't any positive things that could happen with having that discussion when you're like boiling, like, you're just seeing red. Like, sometimes that could lead to like abuse or a hit. I think Lawrence was kind of like not forceful, but like, obviously, like, he tried to like get out the way. I think he like pushed you out the way, but that could easily, like, in another circumstance, someone who doesn't move out the way, that could easily be like some shit can go down. So like, sadly, And I just think that just kind of shows you, like, when you're in that situation, like, when you're seeing red and, like, you're upset, and, like, just let that person go. Just like, what they say, like, you let them go. If it's right, they'll come back to you. Like, it will be no good to talk to someone who is that furious. Like, it's just not, guy or girl. There's just nothing to be gained from that moment.
And the conversation will lead to anything. It will be an unresolved conversation.
Exactly. It just results of like, something bad's gonna happen. Something's gonna get said. Someone might cross the line. Like, it's just never gonna be a good situation. And we seen like the outcome of them eventually getting together after all the shit that they've been doing, and just talking shit out. Of like, okay, we're not mad right now. We gotta have a conversation, and how beneficial that is to just sit together and talk about, hey, what went wrong and stuff like that. And you could see, like,
even years later.
Yeah, years later, or there was a moment where before Issa moved out to Daniel's house, I think in season 2, where Lawrence stops by and he's getting hit the couch and shit. That they had a little bit of a heart to heart there too. And once again, it's one of those moments where they can sit aside without being so emotionally like in it, and they can sit and they can like talk about it. It's way more beneficial than just like yelling at each other.
Yeah. One of the last points I have here is what I didn't understand at the end. I still don't. Even when I first saw it, even now I saw it again. What do you think was the purpose of Lawrence calling Issa in the finale and telling her, "Oh, I want to talk," and then she drives home, and you essentially see that he just picked up his shit and left. So he kind of left her hanging. What do you think was the purpose, the idea, the function behind all that? Because I still don't understand what the aim was. What was the point of leaving her hanging? I didn't understand that.
I mean, I think it it just shows like you're a person. I'm sorry. Like he goes to the strip club and he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna turn up with my boys, yada yada. Gets a lap dance, thinking like the girl like is interested in him, which she could be, but obviously this is a business, so you want some pleasure, you gotta pay, and that is complete turn off to him. Obviously like that's a complete like fuck, like this shit sucks. Especially when stuff like that, like he hasn't slept with anybody yet. This is before Tasha gets in the picture. This is before that. So, he has this feeling of like intimacy. Like, oh man, this feels great. I haven't had it yet since me with my girl. He hasn't had sex yet or made love, whatever, since he's been with Issa. And he's about to like get it essentially, and he gets excited for it. He's like, "Fuck yeah, I'm about to fuck!" And it's been a minute, and he doesn't, because it's like the intimacy has been removed, because now this is a financial obligation. So it's just like, damn, that shit sucks, and that's his first experience with a woman, that's his first sexual experience with a woman since Issa, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, dude, that sucks. So it's like, shit, like, I gotta go back to Issa, because that's, like, your first sexual experience with somebody, and that's what happens. Like, he's just like, okay, well, I don't, if that's what it's like out there, I don't want it. Let me go back. I think that was, like, his mindset. I think that's his mindset. Like, okay, fuck. Like, I don't want this life. Let me go back and, like, fix it. And he goes back home, and then he just sees like nah, like this isn't it. Like he just gets in there and he's just like, nope, I can't be in this house, I can't be in this setting, I don't feel like, he's calling her on the way home. So he's like, you know what, I just had a bad sexual experience where like, it doesn't feel right. I want to feel intimacy again. I want to feel like a connection again. So let me get back with her. And then he gets in there in that home where the connection will essentially happen. But he's like, this doesn't even feel right. Being here, I can't be here.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened.
Okay.
Does that make, do you agree? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I didn't think of it in that fashion. I was very puzzled of what the whole point was. But after you said that, like, hey, he had that in his head of giving her the chance, the benefit of the doubt. And then once he's in that position, once he's in that room, he just kind of like, all the memories probably rush back, and he's just, I can't fucking do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is not what I want anymore.
Right, exactly.
And he just took his shit and left,
Right. And
so it does make sense.
Yeah, and especially in like the house, like they had a fight there. They had a huge fight there. Shit was thrown. He found, the text message with Daniel there. Like, like there's just too much shit there. And there was a point where like he wasn't staying there. So like, who knows what's going on in his mind? Like, did they sleep together again? Did she have him over here? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just too many there's just too many questions of just the location. Of like, did you have this dude over when I'm gone? Did you talk on the phone with him here? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the house is just is tainted. Yeah. So even if you wanted to work it out, it's just like, nah, like this is just too much. It's too hard. So then he leaves.
Yeah, you're true. Very true. I didn't see it that way, but thanks for the little insights there, Orlando. And last but not least, for me at least, I don't know about you, but what I found interesting is that they celebrated Kelly's birthday in season 1 when they went into that big ass house, whatnot. So my thinking here is that, do they celebrate somebody's birthday every season, like a different birthday every season?
Why you say that?
That's because in season 4 they celebrated someone's birthday. Then in season 1 they celebrated something's birthday. So I'm just kind of like, I want to see if that is a how do you call it? If that's a tradition that they do consistently like every season someone else they rotate to someone else's birthday. I want to see if that actually happens.
I don't.
So I'm just putting it out here
Yeah.
to just kind of.
I don't recall. Yeah, no, I don't recall.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to pay attention to that now. They celebrated Kelly's birthday in season 1. I know they celebrate someone's birthday in season 4. Because I remember there were Issa and Molly were fighting in that one too. So I'm trying to see if there's a rotation of birthdays they celebrate every season. Which I found very interesting there.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to pay attention to it. Just a little tidbit I wanted to throw out there. Something that I noticed.
Yeah, there's a birthday in season 3.
So they do celebrate a birthday every season. Then.
And there's Issa birthdays in season 3.
Interesting. All right, that's good. So I guess it rotates between one of the girls every season. Then that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think it could be that. It could be like
All right. Well, I'll let you know when we do season 4 if there's a rotation going on here.
Yeah.
What are your last thoughts, Orlando? Anything else you want to say? Anything you want to recap?
There was something I was gonna say, but I can't remember now. I was thinking of something. We got more birthdays. Kelly. Oh, I've been trying to think like the timeline of Insecure, like how, like in general, like how long has the show been going on? Like, which is good because the baby, Tiffany's baby, is a good reference of like. I think Issa and Lawrence have only been broken up for like a month. I mean, a year and some change.
No. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't think they.
What, from season 1 to 2?
Season 1 to season 4.
Oh, I don't know about that. I
gotta look it up. I'm sure someone did the math. I'm sure like someone had to have like the.
Yeah, somewhere, probably somebody does, but I think at most it's been 3 years since everything's been going on.
Oh, you think so? Wow, 3 years.
Yeah, I think it's been 3 years. From the moment of season 1 till we see him in 4, I think it's been about 3 years. Because if I'm not mistaken, in season 3, her friend Tiffany was pregnant. She had the baby in season 4.
She gets pregnant in season She gets pregnant in season 2. The 30 Day with Lawrence, she's pregnant. The episode?
Oh yeah?
Tiffany's pregnant there.
Oh shit.
Because she doesn't drink anything, and they make a joke about it. Kind of like, I can't, like, they make a really quick joke of like, oh no, girl, I can't do this right now. So yeah, they do that.
Interesting. And she doesn't have the baby until season 4.
So it says here, let's see. It says here someone puts in, okay, season 1, episode 1, it's Issa's birthday. Oh, this is really good. Okay, here we go. They did the math. Season 1, episode 1, Issa is 29. That's when they go out. That's the first episode. She turns 29, okay?
And he fucks her over that day. Yeah,
Season 3, episode 8, it's Issa's birthday.
1 year.
So that's 1 year, season 8. Season 4, episode 5, 5 months after Issa's birthday, Molly mentioned dating Andrew for a month. And started dating around the final season, episode 3. So it's been a year and 4 months. So not that long.
It's not that long at all. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, not that long. It makes sense because you think about it like, oh yeah, so yeah. Season 4, episode 5. 5 months after Issa's birthday, Molly mentioned dating Andrew for a month. Yeah, so a year and some change.
Wow. There's a lot of shit happening within all these time frames, bro.
Yeah, I mean, Lawrence has a major ass glow up in a few months if you think about it. Cause not even a year. He has a pivotal change in just a few months of like his life literally going to shit. So
that's true.
Damn, our globe are taking way too long. Just saying.
That is very true, man. It's years in the making.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know, sometimes I don't like when shows do that. You know, like I love the seasons being as like months or years passing by, not days. You know, I hate when they do those. It's just been a few days passing by. You know, yeah, it's too much shit has happened within a year and a half. Like if you think about everything that's happened between all these seasons, like that's yearly shit, not like every few months shit. You know.
I mean, not much happens that it's like unrealistic. You know what I'm saying? Like, Lauren's getting a job in tech. He's already been working technically in tech, just not on his own shit. You know what I'm saying? And then like,
yeah, he's had 2 jobs. He's had 2 jobs in the year though.
Yeah.
You know, Issa did a festival within a year. It doesn't make sense logically, you know.
Yeah, she did a festival
like,
pretty quickly.
That math. There's something wrong with that math. I feel there's something. I don't think the show is being exact with its literal time.
Right.
Passing, you know. I think there's deeper time passing than we know.
I mean, there isn't though. If you think about it, if a show is on season 1. It's her birthday, and season 3 has another birthday. That's it. Like it's not like there's more time.
But they don't. It doesn't confirm how old she is in that birthday.
They do, but
it could have been her 30th birthday.
They talk about it that it's her 30th birthday.
So that means the show started when she was 28.
The show started when she was 29 because the birthday, the first episode is her 29th birthday.
Was it in the 28?
Nah. The first episode is the 29th birthday.
All right. Well, any last thoughts, Orlando?
Nah. I know we're going all over the place, so yeah, let's just wrap it up. Yeah. Great show.
Perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you think about this conversation of season 1. Bringing it back again. Keep in mind that starting October 24, we'll be doing our weekly Insecure podcast where we talk and discuss every episode after it's over, after it airs. Follow us in that journey. Follow us on this one. Let us know your thoughts, things that we missed about season 1 that you noticed, but we did not. You know where you can hit us up at. Slide to the DMs and Instagram. Popcorn Heroes. Email us at popcornheroes@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. Till next time.
Later, guys.